what you're trying to find isn't going to come look for you. And that has always been a constant struggle being a creative. Thinking you have to be creative and be creative consistently is not exactly what you're looking to do. It's not something I've come to find. What I've been looking to do as being a creative that I have found to give me great results is searching for myself. And as I searched for my own self, I found that it really translated into the art that I do. For a whole year, I stayed inside and painted. I painted every single night. I painted even if the idea was bad. I painted with an idea in mind, which is letting my brain subconsciously think about the problems that I was going through and finding my own self along with confidence. So on this journey of finding my own self as an artist or as this creative, I took time to realize what parts of me needed more attention. And that was confidence. When it came to painting, before you paint and before you even put your brush down, there is something that has to be built up inside of you to start painting and start doing these ideas that you have in your head and bring them into real life. And that was confidence. If I wasn't confident enough to put my brush onto the canvas along with all the other wet paint, then I found myself struggling with a really abstract question as to why. And I found that I think many artists can find is that you can't undo what you've done. There's something about the beauty of having really nice brush strokes in your paintings. And whenever I looked at a spot that I wanted to paint over, I would lose that paint stroke. And there was this whole entire play of, if I do this, then I can lose this, or I can gain that. And in this whole entire game of making these small decisions, my life was also being answered subconsciously of what I did with my own life. What I'm trying to say is that you need to find confidence after you think you're looking for yourself. One of the first things you should search for when you are trying to become your own creative self is, one, looking for yourself, right? You're doing something that's purely a solo journey. No one else can bring you to where you have to be. And if we have to think about this realistically, no one's going to bring you on top of that mountain and guide you to where you want to be, in the same sense that no one's going to guide you on building or creating your masterpiece. So that's the first one. You have to find your own self. And in turn, as you find yourself, you need to have confidence. You need to have confidence in your own self to know that what you are creating is right. And what you're doing is right. Never put yourself into a position where your reality is not what you think it should be. What you're doing and where you are all results of what you've done. So how do you undo that? Well, you have to look for yourself. So that was the first two steps that I found. After I had found myself and after I became more confident about my art, I was able to show my art. And when I was able to show my art was when my whole entire art career just really kind of lifted off the ground, and in a very surreal way, show my art at an art market, and then the next thing I'm doing is showing my art at the Philadelphia Museum. And that was so cool. So cool. Words cannot express how amazing, how fulfilling it was for my own self in such a short amount of time. And all of that was because I came to search for myself in this whole process of what the hell I'm doing. So I encourage you to find what it is you're looking for, and to be able to give you the advice that the first step is having to find your own self. Find your own self. No matter how good or how bad or how annoying or how rude you may be or how nice you really are, it's who you are. And you have to come to terms with that. Even if you have easy triggers or can never be someone who can be mean, you just have to know yourself. Even if the things you list are things you don't even like. And at that point, that's when you really find what it is you can be. And the confidence that you build will only ever be compounding after finding yourself. As I painted through a lot of emotions: anger, frustration, happiness, sadness, like joyful, outgoing, like just any single way I felt, I painted. And it felt as though when I was in those positions, I really understood why I was painting and why I felt that way. And so it picked up these pieces along the way of who I should be. So finding your own self through the process of being creative is ultimately what makes you creative. It's never the idea that, it's never the process of you have to be creative first. Then at that point you will be creative. That doesn't make any sense. You have to put something in front of being creative. Because if you think about it, making a decision, you have to make a decision, and you have to have some creative decision against that. So first it comes a decision, then you have to be creative about it. So when I was placing this down, I'm not going to show you this side of it. I'm going to show you that side, so it doesn't show you this whole entire solar panel. So that, as an example, is you have to do something first before you can be creative. You have to be like, oh, I'm going to make this amazing song. The song comes first. You're going to do the song first, but then how do you make it be creative process? When I'm coming to an art piece, I'm thinking that I'm going to be an amazing artist, but it's so vague. Like, I'm going to be art, but what am I going to make that's so creative? And that was painting flowers in my own way. So you have to be you first before you are creative. You have to be you first before you are creative. And at that point is when you will find who you can be and what that journey might look like. So I encourage you today to step away from what it is you do consistently. You may be painting every single day. You might be making music. You might be writing. And sometimes it just might feel like it's doing nothing to advance you. Or you're posting on social media. Take a minute to take a break. And I know that this might just sound out of out of whack, but relax and give yourself some grace to understand that you aren't this machine to become some type of person. Just like how I was trying my best to become an artist, I'm not an artist to be creating art for people to consume and me to get paid from. I'm an artist because I have something to say in my own way. So take yourself a break. Give yourself a break and find out what it is you really are looking for and what you think you are looking for doing whatever you're doing, and what you can actually be looking for. At first, I wanted to make just art that was really cool, and that only brought me so far. And afterwards, I started to paint because I needed to understand how I felt. Your personality is more than just the creative projects you are doing. And that was one of the best things my therapist told me. Not even told me, she sent me a photo through text about how my career or job isn't my personality. And after I came to terms with that, my life changed. Because I tried my hardest to be something that wasn't what made me a whole person. I know that a lot of this may sound confusing. However, this is my attempt to be searching for something out there and showing off what I think and how I process a lot of things. I don't post a lot of my art. I haven't posted a short in forever. I haven't posted a YouTube video in forever. And a lot of that is because this process, this whole entire life, is solely for me. And as a byproduct of being able to find this process, you are all able to understand a journey and look at something and understand that you also can do it. I can be inspiring others to also find their own selves, because ultimately that's all we have in the end of the day. I know it might sound very morbid, but it is. It's like the only thing we have at the end of the day is ourselves, and what we can redeem and what we can deem as success. Looking for outward success or recognition, outside recognition, and people seeing us do things is so temporary. But what will be forever is who you are, and maybe something you can provide to the world. So what you are trying to find isn't going to come look for you, because what you're trying to find is all inside of you.